In recent years, Chinese auto shows have kind of been places of absolute wonderment for EV enthusiasts. And today, we've got something quite special. That is the Jidu Robo-X. And Will, this is China driven. This sexy shaped metal is called the Jidu Robo-X, and they're calling it the world's first intelligent driving supercar. And this is not a concept. They say they're actually going to make these. Hand-built, of course. And although there's no actual price, they did release today that you could put down a deposit if you want to reserve one of these for 50,000 RMB.
It's everything you want on a super or hypercar. It's sexy, low to the ground with butterfly doors, dripping in carbon aero, a multitude of openings and channels to funnel the air where it needs to go. It's a head turner, a spectacle of design from Frank Wu and his team, and I agree with Frank that the design will age gracefully.
So as I said, this is a hyper EV, even though I think the styling kind of has this traditional hypercar shape, and you might think that this has a screaming V8 or a wailing V10, maybe a growling V12, but underneath this kind of glass section where you would normally see an engine in a mid-mounted supercar is actually the custom liquid cooling for the battery, solid state battery in this with ambient light, and it looks cool. And it looks really, really good. The whole thing looks super special, and that's because it is. Now, this is a completely carbon fiber chassis, as you can see on the interiors of the doors, and it's skinned in aluminium. I love this thing. I mean, who wouldn't? I'd love to drive it, although I don't think, who knows, maybe we'll get a chance. But I don't hold my hopes out. I think a lot of these will be bought and they'll be garaged away somewhere, unfortunately, but it's utterly cool.
I can't talk enough about the way this thing looks. It's won multiple design awards, including a prestigious Red Dot Design Award. But I just love how this blends almost traditional hypercar proportions with new age EV powertrain dominance. The clever styling of the rear glass hatch allowing passers-by to have a look at something interesting. Sharp, bold lines, the prominent cockpit design, the roof scoop on top, all of it screaming, I'm a fast boy. A very, very fast boy.
As for performance, we don't actually know how much horsepower, kilowatts this is going to put out. What we do know is it's got 4 high-performance motors, 1 at each wheel. So that's proper 4-wheel drive, proper all-wheel torque vectoring, and all of that kind of sorcery. We do know, however, that this is pegged to go 0 to 100 in under 1.9 seconds. The straight line performance is not just what this is built for. Obviously, this is built to decimate tracks. With all the amount of aero, all the carbon fiber, and the way it looks, it's built to decimate tracks. But this little turquoise light back here tells you an interesting way in which it might be able to do that. That is an ADAS light. You'll see on other cars that when they're in ADAS mode, they have this turquoise light. And Jidu developed this with autonomous racing in mind. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds boring. If I buy a car like this, I want to drive it myself. And you can do. You have the car race autonomously. You can drive it completely by yourself. Or you can co-pilot with the AI, with the autonomous driving, you know, kind of enhancing your own skills. Sounds pretty cool.
Now, being this crazy fast, safety is also a consideration, and this has a halo cockpit structure. Think kind of like F1 halo safety system, but the interior itself is just as special as the exterior.
Now there's space for 2 in here and not much else. There's of course no space behind the seats. This is built for speed. You got very thin carbon bucket seats here, and the kind of position they are in is your legs are almost just completely straight as if you're sitting on the floor. Inside here, you've got a little central touchscreen and also a little display in the middle there. And also there's a display on this yoke wheel as well. Ambient lighting all around, which is kind of cool considering that this is, you know, a track kind of focused, speed focused racing car. as well as what looks like speakers. Normally in a vehicle like this, you would imagine the interior to be as bare as possible, but in here, it actually feels quite nice. You'll see the driver's seat has purple seatbelts, and that's a nod to the Jiyue 01 and the Jiyue 07, which can also be had with purple seatbelts. It's kind of Jiyue's color, but exposed carbon fiber everywhere in here. It looks the business in here. It looks pretty fancy. So inside here, it also has a voice assistant, or it's intelligent AI, in fact. It's called Simo. It's the same name that you'll find in the Jiyue 01 and Jiyue 07.
But in this Robo-X, it can provide strategic information such as motor torque, chassis dynamics, and thermal management, as well as being able to control the adaptive lighting. Real-time feedback said to enhance the driving experience.
Now, I just turned 36, and while I still feel like I'm only 26, I do have to say that I don't think my knees would enjoy going from here down to here on a regular occasion.
Now, for most people, hypercars are something to be admired. Most of us won't actually be in a position to own one. But Jidu also launched something more obtainable, a new variant of the Jiyue 07, a dual motor with 400 kilowatts of power, a 0 to 100 time in around 3.5 seconds. It sits on the Geely 800-volt SEA platform with a 100 kilowatt-hour battery and a claimed 770 kilometers of range. I just love the proportions of this sports sedan. It was a standout for me when I saw it launched at Beijing earlier this year. For those that don't know, Jidu is a joint venture between Baidu and Geely. And Jidu's press conference talked about their integration of AI across the brand, using Baidu's Ernie bot to create the first large-scale AI voice assistant. They also talked about end-to-end ADAS, leveraging Baidu Apollo self-driving tech in Jidu's own vision-only approach. It all sounds promising, and hopefully I'll get a chance to review a Jidu 07 in the future and see for myself.